Hey guys, Shop Talk Podcast.
I'm a zero pro guy.
I did it, yeah. I ran a marathon.
You only cranks crew?
Am I the town hero? 3 laps of that are just...
Hey guys, Shop Talk Re-readable.
Snow Week Vault.
Snow Week Vault, February 18th, 1991, Kyle. Survival of the fittest, Jack Struthers captures closest I-500 race ever.
Even today?
That I don't know. And in 91, it was the closest one ever so far. And then plus Todd Krikke tamed Soo I-500 Enduro Field.
Mm-hmm.
So I read this one yesterday. This is a really good read.
Yeah.
Like they did a really good job on the write-ups in these two. There's also an interview with Eagle River Ironman Mike Cool. We're just going to be covering the I-500 and the Soo I-500 because that's what our main show is.
We like the I-500.
The Dirty Snow guys, we could send them the Eagle River interview if they want.
Yeah.
Was it as close as when Brian had his sled on, like, coming across the road at the casino, and he had to lay it on his side and hold it wide open until the flagman let him go?
Yeah, because Brian Dick had broke down behind him, remember?
Yeah.
So then it wasn't close.
That's a
good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a real good story.
Yeah.
So he had to lay it on its side and hold it wide open.
So yeah, Kyle, thanks again for buying these Snow Weeks.
Yeah.
They've been a lot of fun to read.
I got one that I want to read about, and I know a little insider depth on it, is when Brian won the 2000 race.
Oh, yeah?
And it talks about a little bit about what I know on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's like a movie, there's a scene I know a little in depth.
So yeah, these have been really fun to read. So the first corner, first article here, Brody, I wanted to just touch on this one because it's really funny. It's a little slandering towards other media at the time, and which is kind of going on current day in the motocross industry.
Yeah.
Of people talking about, oh, this guy isn't at the races, so how can you report on the race when you're not even there? And it's funny that they were bickering about this back in 91.
Mm-hmm.
So given due credit, no question the most glamorous type of snowmobile competition is oval sprint racing. People who are familiar with automobile racing identify with ovals more than other types of racing. Household racing names: Wall, Goodwin, Houle, Vesser, Decker, Sturgeon. The list of oval names go on and on. But one thing we've learned over the last several years is not all the top racers in the sport are oval sprint drivers. The issue of Snow Week features reports on 2 of the non-oval sprint events in all of snowmobile racing, the I-500 cross-country race and the Soo I-500 Enduro. Both events feature several of the best racers in the sport. Both events are very important to the manufacturers. Look at the contingency money offered to bring home victory and the advertising support for the winners. That's one thing to touch on how much these guys are winning back in the day. And then I wanted to calculate that out to see what that equaled in 91 to what it would be nowadays.
I'm going to have to kill that bird outside.
If we don't talk, Brody, does it pick it up on the...
I don't think so.
On the mic?
We might be good.
Okay.
It might just be annoying for us.
Maybe when we are talking, maybe you could hear in the background.
Maybe. It'll add to the effect, like Oliver Anthony effect.
Yeah, like we're out in the wilderness right now. Yeah. For anybody not watching this.
Bear shit in the woods.
You should see the squirrels I got living in my trees. Man, they're big.
Part of this identity problem lies with the media. That's right. If anyone is to blame, we are. That's why we've taken steps this year to correct this situation. As a leading national voice of snowmobile racing, it is our responsibility to bring you the first-rate coverage of a variety of racing events. It is our responsibility to give races like the I-500 and the Soo the recognition they deserve. It is our responsibility to turn top drivers like Todd Krikke, John Wick, Troy Dunn, Mike Staszek, Jack Struthers, Noel Nakamoose, and Rocky Erickson into household names. This year, Associate Editor John Sandberg covered the I-500 in a unique fashion from the seat of a race sled. His report on the issue is unique and unmatched. His first-person perspective is what it's like to run the I-500, which will run in next season in an issue of the Snow Goer. Will be intriguing. This kind of commitment we are striving for, bringing you the best possible racing coverage. We're tired of hearing about regional publications that don't have a clue what racing world is like because they've never wandered out of their own backyard. Some editors and writers claim to work for enthusiast publications. We're not claiming anything. We're proving it. One so-called racing publication hasn't had a representative at Eagle River World Championships in 10 years.
Just calling them out.
Just throwing shade.
This is in 91.
Yeah. Another enthusiast magazine didn't even bother to attend the Racing Hall of Fame banquet this year, even though it was in their own backyard. While we had 10 staff members covering every aspect of the Derby, two so-called enthusiast publications weren't even at the track the day of the finals. Our team of editors and freelance writers are committed to bringing the most accurate and most in-depth racing coverage possible. We are the only publication covering the racing circuits in New England, Ontario, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota on a regular basis. We're the only publication to care about how racing works from the inside and have an editor for the I-500 and the Rocky Mountain Racing Circuit. We have hired the best snowmobile writers and photographers in the snow belt, people like our Myra correspondent Steve Landon and NESRA Steve Leclerc. So yeah, I thought that was pretty.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
They haven't been here in 10 years.
Yeah.
But the column isn't about promoting Snow Week. I'm confident our racing coverage will continue to speak for itself. What is really important is that our approach and our expanded coverage continues to give credit where credit is due. The best races, race promoters, and racing across the snow belt. An upcoming issue will focus on the World Series of drag racing, another type of competition that probably doesn't get enough attention the time. So we hope to add names like Pat Hawk and Jerry Solom, Don Lewis, and Chuck Reese to that household list. In the meantime, congratulations to Todd Krikke for his Soo win, Jack Struthers for the I-500 win, and I'd like to congratulate John Sandberg for competing in and finishing 38th in the I-500. Who knows, next year we might compete in the Soo.
Yeah. Pat Hawk, big Pat Hawk Performance Yamaha guys.
Yep.
You ever buy anything?
I think Dad had bought some Hawk stuff for his Apex, some clutching stuff to try back when he had that. Or World Series Derby or drag racing, whatever it takes to better understand snowmobile racing from the inside out, and whatever it takes to make sure these non-oval sprint drivers receive their due credit. So they're kind of trying to branch out from, but this is 91, and
There was a lot of ovals.
even in the late 80s, I thought like the Snow Pro era was the oval era, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'll show you that stack I got.
But I was interested that they were still talking that it was so oval based, even up to 90, 91. What? Oh. So, okay, Kyle, do you want to read Jack Struthers or you read Todd Krikke?
I'll read the Krikke Man.
Krikke man. Remember when I introduced you to Todd Krikke at the Soo?
Yeah, I got to say hi, and then I just shut up.
That's a solid move sometimes. Though.
All right.
Yep.
Okay,
And just listen.
bear with us here. We're not very good readers, but we'll read it for you. And as always, the pictures of this magazine will be on the Facebook page. So find that if you want to read it for yourself.
We're going to touch on some key moments here.
So yeah, we're going to read the I-500 article, the Soo I-500 article. Touch on there's some good marketplace things in here too, Kyle.
Oh, yeah, there's some sweet stuff for
Some
sale
sweet
out there?
deals. Sweet deals. Okay. Jack Struthers wins the closest I-500 ever. Story by John Sandberg. Photos by Gary Walton.
Did we just talk to Gary?
Yeah.
That was Gary.
Yeah.
Gary Walton / Action Sport. So I thought that was pretty cool. These are some pretty cool pictures Gary took even back in 91. The action shots.
The action shot.
Yeah. Okay, ready for this? Okay.
Lock in.
Yeah, I'm locked in. The most prestigious cross-country race in all snowmobiling ended with a victorious Western driver for the second year in a row. Jack Struthers of Boise, Idaho, won the Thunder Bay, Ontario to White Bear Lake, Minnesota I-500 cross-country race aboard his Polaris Indy 400 XC. Kyle, 400.
Yep. They're a sweet machine.
What did you say in our podcast? We did slow sell.
Yeah, they were pretty slow.
They're
But
pretty slow.
400 is pretty slow, but
Yeah.
But for the competition of the day, they were
right
comparable.
up there. Yeah.
It was his first attempt at the grueling 3-day race, sponsored by Amco, blah, blah, blah. The race was sponsored by 264 drivers competed for over $130,000 in cash and prizes, making this year's event the richest and most competitive in 5-year history of the race. Mild temperatures and bright sunshine greeted the drivers from the United States, Canada, Russia, and Finland each of the 3 racing days. And when the checkered flag dropped at a muddy, wet finish line in White Bear Lake, 4 seconds separated the top 5 drivers.
Top 5?
Yes.
Damn.
I thought it may be 1 and 2, but
No, top 5.
holy crap.
So buckle up.
Does it say that?
No. Wow, these damn flies, Brody.
You wanted the doors open.
I know, it's nice out.
We're going to get copyrighted if we read this word for word. So we got to change it.
You gotta. I don't think we will at all.
This year's race was not without controversy as accusations of road running plagued many of the top finishers.
Yeah.
Even 91, they're talking about road running. Yeah. However, there was no disqualifications, and on the third and final day, in spite of disputes over the third day, the I-500 race officials ran what it was otherwise regarded as the best race yet, and plans are already underway to make next year's event bigger and better and more fair. Day 1, an old name returns to a familiar place. The first leg of the race began on the some river in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Then proceeded on a creek onto a creek for nearly 30 miles. Once off the rough and slush of the creek, the drivers followed the ditch line of the Highway 61 across the border into Minnesota. Once in Minnesota, the course varied from plowed roads to ungroomed trails to lakes. Reading this, Kyle, it would just make me think of how you like to listen to audiobooks at work.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
The course varied from plowed roads to ungroomed trails to lakes and everything in between. Nearly 160 miles from Thunder Bay, the course ended high on a bluff overlooking Lake Superior in Grand Marais, Minnesota. A true cross-country course, the trail utilized a few roads, new trails, groomed trails, and a lot of trees and stumps and rocks. A lot of rocks.
Yeah, there's pictures in there.
Duluth is built on a rock.
Yeah, it's
so
rocks.
I can imagine there's a lot of rocks.
How sweet would it be if they did a race there again?
Be a lot of rocks.
Yep.
Bobby Minnie built us a course in Hoyt Lakes. There's a lot of rocks. The racers who drew an early flight for the first day once again benefited from the ever-changing course that gets rougher and tougher with each sled. With upwards of 10 racers to a flight and over 26 flights, drivers further back than 15th flight faced 4 to 5 foot holes and bumps that were mere stutter bumps in the early flights. Of course, the order was reversed in the second day to reduce the advantage of drawing an early flight in the first day. We got some pictures here. Kyle, the Prowler.
Yeah. So you see on that, the windshield is bolted to the hood.
Yeah, it's over the headlight.
On a Prowler, the windshield is mounted to the handlebars. So when you turn, the handlebar,
sure.
windshield turns with you.
Yep.
So
Not a highly sought after sled. When we talked to Joey Hallstrom about it,
they're a good sled,
but for racing though, and
yeah.
What was it? Kirk broke that spindle.
Yep, the spindles were too tall.
That Joey told us about, and that was my dad had a Prowler, and he had a lot of trouble with it.
Yeah.
So that was what switched him from Artie Cat to Polaris.
Really?
Yeah,
Because we got a Prowler. I'd say we probably put 10,000 miles on that thing.
Really?
When we were a kid.
I'll have to ask Dad what his problems were with it, but that was what he was kind of disgusted with it, and that's when he switched to Polaris. And then how they have these laid out. Sometimes I read the wrong paragraph because it's like stacked weird.
Almost like a comic book.
Almost, yes. Running out of the third flight, Lee Falk of Ham Lake. There's a joke. The Spencer Delabria, I heard one guy tell him, Ham Lake. He's like, more like Pork Pond. Took his Polaris Indy 400 XE to a low time of 3 hours, 19 minutes, 27 seconds. Falk, who was one of the cross-country greats in the late 1970s and early 80s, had taken several years off from terrain racing, but it never showed. For his low-time finish, Falk received $2,000.
Each day they get a fast time.
Yeah. So let me, Kyle, talk about something here for a second.
So yeah, that's what I thought would be cool. Do the fastest lap of each day, get a payout. Would be sweet.
Yeah.
Because you could be running, third place, but still have the fastest lap.
Oh, yeah.
So $2,000 in 91 is $4,700 today.
Holy crap, $5,000.
Yeah, to run fast time for day one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
55 seconds behind Falk was at the finish line was Tim Wolf of Annandale, Minnesota. Wolf, who collected $1,000 for his time, had also been in the third flight and was the third place driver Robert Pangirl of Santee, Minnesota. Pangirl won $500 for his third place and $400 to Kevin Spielman of Pequot Lakes, Minnesota, for his fourth place finish. So even fourth place was getting $400.
Yeah.
For fast.
My audiobooks don't stop and have to reread words.
Oh, yeah, because they edit.
Yeah. And they're asking the editor, what's this? How's this pronounced?
What is this word?
Yeah. Typical of the rough first day course, several of the top drivers never made it to the finish line in Grand Marais. Among them, there's so many names that Todd Wolf, Fritz Cadlick. I wonder if they're related to Spencer Cadlick. Arnie Ratinen and Jim Kendall. Kendall is one of the 26 drivers who ran out of gas after the Grand Portage stop halfway through the first day. Sticky snow, lean jetting, and big holes left for these drivers just a few miles from the third gas stop at Devil's Track and out of the race. 50 drivers never made it to the finish line on the first day. Most broke down, some ran out of gas, several burned their motors down, and some drivers just plain quit. On a course that many experienced drivers described as ... You can see here Kirk Hibbert on a prowler with very tall spindles. Mm-hmm. They had the right idea. They're trying to get that front end higher off the ground.
Yeah.
But so they went from the prowler, very high spindles, a little higher off the ground, to the 93 ZR, where like the belly pan was on the ground in full travel. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of funny. A very funny ad here of Polaris Does It Again. From Polaris of like a
nice straight line
from Thunder Bay to White Bear Lake, and then again and again and again, and then a bunch of circles with Todd Krikke winning the Soo. So pretty funny advertisements. Okay, re-enter here. Can't even remember what I said last.
You said dot.
Drivers and several high. Yeah. Oh no! See here's where I read the wrong thing.
Oh, so you start down there.
Yeah, start down there. They talked about how rough the course was. Rough, but no worse than it has ever been. Losing 50 drivers was a far cry from the 100-plus drivers who didn't make it last year. The 2-hour maintenance session would allow drivers and mechanics to change or repair broken parts of your equipment. For some, patched together what remained of their sled. For day 2, the starting order was reversed, and a whole new race awaited the drivers. Day 2, a new driver in first place. The second leg of the race followed the North Shore State Trail of Grand Marais to Duluth, Minnesota. Different from the first day, and the entire course consisted of state trails. Day 2 has a reputation for being very fast, also unforgiving. Many drivers found themselves in the woods with their sleds wedged into trees. If a driver made a mistake on the second day, chances are they were in the trees and lost valuable minutes. The North Shore State Trail is characterized by tight corners, short hills that launch the drivers, and several high-speed sections that challenge the racers' concentration. Riding home turf this day was Duluth, Minnesota native Craig Janzig, Janzig. Janzig. I'm just terrible at pronouncing names. I mean, we have a terrible name to pronounce, Arlo. It doesn't say. So, my bad. He proved his ability by finishing the day with a low time of 3 hours, 18 minutes, 19 seconds, and also collecting $2,000 for the effort. Janzig fast time didn't put him within striking distance of the overall leaders. However, as a new group of racers moved into the top positions for the start of day 3, the overall low time racer for the first 2 days was Paul Mack, which Paul Mack, most people maybe remember him from like Sledhead 24/7 maybe. Of Crystal, Minnesota. Mack is new to the cross-country racing this year, and his ability to ride hard is very apparent as he turned in a solid performance both days. 1 minute and 36 seconds behind Mack is Spielman, who, like Mack, rode strong and consistent both days. Third and fourth overall the first 2 days, Bob Bowman of Asante, Minnesota, and Lee Falk rounding out the top 10 overall. Kendrick Olson of Tremont, Minnesota, Ted Dedrich of Thunder Bay. Sorry, people, if I'm butchering your name. I'm terrible. And former I-500 winner Noel Nakamoose of St. Paul, Minnesota. Last year's I-500 winner Krikke Hibbert of Driggs, Idaho. Kirk was still from Driggs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they hadn't moved to Goodridge yet. And Mark Lewis of Elko, Minnesota. Jack Struthers of Boise, Idaho.
I was just going to say, there hadn't been talk of Kirk or Jack. And
just over 8 minutes separated the top 10 drivers after the first 2 days. And the adequate anticipation of who would be first into White Bear Lake reached a feverish pitch during the maintenance sessions as drivers and crews compared times with each other. Surprisingly, 172 sleds crossed the finish line on the second day. The worst stories from day 2 revolved around the off-camber turns before the finish line in Duluth, as many drivers found themselves going into the stumps and trees around the difficult turns. Another turn that added minutes to drivers was a 90-degree corner right before the Finland fuel stop. World champion motocross racer Donnie Schmidt of Bloomington, Minnesota, hit a tree on a corner, yet still made good time in Duluth. Like many competitors in the I-500, the minutes Schmidt lost in the trees cost him a better finish in the end, which I didn't know that. That's really cool because Donnie Schmidt is like a pretty known name of early 90s motocross. And so here he is too. World champion motocross racer Donnie Schmidt found out just how rough a snowmobile race can be and how immovable trees are when you hit them. Schmidt ended up 51st overall despite this encounter with a big, bad birch tree. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Is that one of them crickets or something?
Cicada.
Yeah. I thought it was like wire getting frayed or something.
Okay, where am I here? Okay, day 3, a race to the finish ends in controversy, Kyle. Dun, dun, dun. The third and final day of the I-500 ran from Carlton to White Bear Lake. 40-plus degree temperatures were melting what little remained of snow in the ditch of Old Highway 61. The final 170 miles of the race mostly followed along the ditch with the occasional railroad grade and back road along the way. Most of the course had snow, but much of it didn't, including the last 2 miles, with obstacles like ditch approaches, telephone poles, culverts, curbs, waited the unprospecting drivers. The high-speed run from the Carlton to White Bear Lake was regarded by nearly all who raced it as tough and traumatic course. Traumatic, Kyle. The first driver to lead Carlton was Mack, followed by Spielman, 1 minute, 36 seconds behind, and all the top 40 drivers left Carlton according to their times. The top 40. So they're really spread out. Mm-hmm. Starting with the 41st driver after Carlton, abreast every 30 seconds. So, yeah, they were really spread out to do the top 40. Yeah. I think ever since I've been a kid, they only did maybe the top 10 up in, like, Thief River.
Every 30 seconds, though.
Yeah, after
That's a long time.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Usually it's like...
I wonder how far the gap was between when Mac took off first and when the 41st guy took off, what the gap was there.
Right. Well, when the past couple of years, when they've ran the 500, it's been your second day, you start with how big of a lead you had from the first day. So
no, I think that's only on the third day, though, isn't it? I think the first day is random order. Second day is random order inversed.
500 has only been 2 days the past couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
So they start your second day, you start with whatever lead you had.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so yeah, just cutting out one day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mac rode the ditch line with everything he had, flying over approaches and holding the throttle down. He ran in first place the entire race and it looked like he might win his first I-500 he entered. Then disaster struck. About 5 miles from the finish line in White Bear Lake, Mac was comfortably in the lead when his motor seized.
God damn.
No.
Meanwhile, a group of 4 drivers had been battling with each other for nearly 100 miles, and they were closing in on the finish line. Falk, Bauman, Kendrick Olson, and Harley Dober. Harley Dober, Pine Lake winner.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have. What year did he win Pine Lake? I had it saved too because I thought that was interesting.
You can get a turbo for your 6.9 IDI.
And just got better for the new 7.3.
Yeah.
Harley won it in 1990. So it would have been 91-ish because the years are kind of mixed up there.
So I bet he won it this year.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Because Brian Nelson won Pine Lake on the EXT special.
Next year. Yeah, that would have been the next year.
No, I thought the
89.
Yeah, because it says Brian won it in 89, but it would have been on a 90 EXT.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the trouble about Pine Lake is how the years are always. He won it in December of this year, but we're going to say it's this year, and it's on this year of a sled.
Yeah. So was Harley riding a Polaris? Or does it say?
I don't know if it says. And then John Sandberg has a big article here, but I don't know if we'll get to it or not. It'll be in the pictures. Yeah, Harley Dober were challenging each other for the win, and only a few minutes behind them were Nakamoose and Struthers were battling with each other as well. Then disaster struck for the leaders again. With Mac out of the race, the 4 riders had hit a culvert a few miles from the finish, seeing the 4 drivers pulling themselves from the culvert.
Oh, no. 4?
Yeah.
How big was the culvert?
The culvert.
Yeah.
The culvert.
Seeing the 4 drivers pulling themselves from the culvert, a few moments later, Struthers and Nakamoose averted the danger and found themselves in the lead. The race for first was between the two, and they were both racing through the ditch with a single goal of winning the I-500. Nakamoose out to win his second, and Struthers trying to win his first. About a mile or so before the finish, Harley Dober and Olson came off of the road and into the ditch between Struthers and Nakamoose.
So they were running on the road.
Mm-hmm. That's how it says it here. It says, okay, and Struthers trying to win his first. About a mile or so before the finish, Harley and Olson came off of the road and into the ditch between Struthers and Nakamoose. So they must have been pissed they hit a culvert and just
jumped on the road.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows? With the finish line in sight, a speed zone sign that was posted in the ditch, which means 30 miles an hour maximum speed and no passing. With the checkered flag waving, Struthers crossed the finish line first with a total time of the 3 days of 9 hours, 48 minutes, and 7 seconds. Followed 1 second later by Dober, who was followed by 1 second later by Olson, who was also followed by 1 second later by Nakamoose.
So they're all 4 seconds.
Yeah. Because of the speed zone.
Yeah.
With rumors and allegations of illegal road running spreading through the crowd at the finish, most of the drivers and spectators expected to hear of disqualifications in the top 20 places, but there were none forthcoming, acknowledging that there was illegal road running, but no race officials saw it. Race organizers made the race results final with no disqualifications, much to the dismay of several drivers and spectators who witnessed the rule infraction. No one can deny that Struthers ran a nearly flawless race. 2 crashes on the first day were overshadowed by 2 days of strong and consistent running. In fact, Struthers admitted before the final stage of the race that he had never ridden in a ditch. In the final stage of the race, he had never ridden in a ditch before, let alone raced in one. Being from out west in Idaho, just running up and down the side of hills and mountains, I guess. The fact that he had overcame an 8-minute lead to win in his first I-500 race proves once again that the ability of the Western racers to win against the best wherever they race. For the win, Struthers received $12,500 plus a new 1991 Polaris RXL and contingency money from Amico and Justice Brothers. So what is 12.5 in nowadays?
Justice Brothers is JB80.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Lubricant.
Oh, okay.
12.5 in 91 is $29,500
Holy
today. And a 91 RXL. What'd those go for, Kyle?
I don't know, probably
Back in the day, probably,
5-6 grand.
yeah.
It was the top of the line sled. 91 would have been blue and red, fuel injected, 650.
So, yeah, 12.5 in 91. Just think of that to win 30 grand today.
Yeah.
Dober received 7,500 plus contingencies from Polaris and Amico for his second place finish. For third place, Olson was awarded 4,500 plus contingency. Nakamoose 3,200 for fifth place. Fifth place and 2,700 went to Greg Moe of Minnetonka, followed by Falk in sixth, 2,500. Mark Lewis seventh, earning him 2,300. Ninth place, 2,100, and former I-500 winner Lauren Wolf. In 2000 went to the bruised and battered Spielman in 10th.
I wonder, they never talked about what happened to Kirk in there.
I thought it. Oh, it does here. Cash payback was given out to all of the drivers in the top 70 places.
That's insane.
And a Forester boat and Spartan trailer was won in a drawing by Ken Fett of Frazee. That's the Fett brothers.
Yeah.
So he won a boat. And the top finishing Arctic Cat driver was last year's race winner, Kirk Hibbert, who took 14th this year. The top finishing Yamaha driver was Rocket Erickson of Coon Rapids, Minnesota, who finished 21st for his efforts aboard his SRV. Erickson was awarded over $7,500 from Yamaha dealers who paid the highest finishing Yamaha driver.
Dude. Crap.
Doug Post of Cale Don, Ontario, was the highest placing Skidoo driver, finishing 55th. So he got 21st and he got $2,100 from Yamaha dealers.
The top Skidoo was 55th place?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. And that was that was it for that. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool stuff. Jack Struthers winning his first ever I-500 heat entered.
Did you get to meet him up at the Polaris banquet last year?
No, I don't think I maybe seen him, but I don't think I said hi to him.
He told Colin that his first sled was a Snowjet Thunderjet. You know what that is, Brody?
Sounds like no.
It's a Thunderjet. They're sweet.
There's an interview here with Mike Cool, the Iron Man talks again. There's some ice drag racing, some RXL pipe chips ready to ship, Kyle.
Yeah, because RXLs were fuel injected. They had a stupid design.
Okay. How? Let me see here.
Half hour.
Oh, it's been a half hour? Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
You want me to blast through this?
Yeah, give Todd Krikke's.
Krikke, man. All right. Where do we get started? Wow, look at that Bozic construction on the Krikke's there.
No, that's on Bozic's side.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 57. There it
Yeah.
is. All right. Krikke claims one lap victory at Soo I-500. Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Nick DeJager of Grand Rapids, Michigan had never been to a snowmobile race when he offered to help sponsor veteran enduro racers Todd Krikke and Randy Krikke. But now, after just one race, you can bet DeJager is one of enduro racing's biggest fans. Driving a Polaris Indy 650, the Krikkes gave it their new sponsor a day to remember as they pulled off a one-lap victory over Tom Bozic to win the 23rd running of the Sioux Classic, February 2nd, 1991. Formerly driving under the Team Confusion banner, the Krikkes, both of Hudsonville, Michigan, qualified in third position, turning two-lap average speeds of 88.21 miles an hour. Throughout the day, they remained in the top 10, never slipping lower than sixth position. At 200 laps, they made their move to the top, staying well within the reach of the top four. The win marked the team's second career victory, including a win at the 1989 Muskogee 400. In 1990, they came close to winning the Soo, taking the lead for over 117 laps before a blown track put an end to their day, just 80 laps from the winner's circle.
Even in 90, blowing tracks.
Yeah, in Indy 650 to pull at 88.21 mile an hour average lap.
They talk about some qualifying laps in there, and they're freaking fast.
Yeah, that's crazy on an Indy 650. Facing increased expenses, the Krikkes decided to gear strictly for the Soo this season instead of running the full Myra circuit.
So I thought that was an interesting point too, is that they were just the Soo.
Mm-hmm. Randy helped without the Landman race team of Grand Rapids, Michigan, serving as co-driver. The Landman crew, with the aid of drivers Michael Landman and Tom Krikke, finished in the money, coming 13th on the Polaris. The battle really began to take shape when Tom Bozick of Alexandria, Minnesota, followed closely by the Krikkes, made a run for the top, climbing from 4th position in just 30 laps to take the lead with 250 laps completed. Krikke was nearly stopped just seconds off the pace. Bozick led unbeatable as he held the lead for 120 laps, with Randy Krikke 3 seconds off the pace. With 376 laps completed, the Krikkes made their move, pulling ahead of Bozick, who was clearly starting to show fatigue. Well, it was clear that the Krikkes had more straightaway speed. Bozick had the edge in cornering and used it to his advantage. In an all-out duel, Bozick, despite being nearly worn out, gave it one last shot, came through with flying colors to taking the lead going into the turn 1 and 2 with 469 laps completed. Todd was at the helm when Bozick reined the lead, and Randy, the lighter of the two cousins, was in the pits ready to run the last stretch when Randy made a needed gas stop. So it's coming right down to the wire with just these two drivers. What about the rest of them? With less than 28 laps to go, Todd entered the pits for a driver change and gas. The stop took less than 20 seconds, and Randy was back at the helm. Bozick came in shortly after for a splash-and-go stop. But it was not enough as Randy took control for good, slowly widening the margin. Bozick thought he was in the lead right up until the end and appeared to slack off the throttle just a bit. However, when he checkered flag fell, it was Randy Krikke taking the flag. The pit stop at the end, this is in quotation, the pit stop at the end really made the difference in the race, Krikke said. We both had pretty identical times in the pits, but I was fresh and really running fast. After we got out, the margin between us grew steadily from 10 seconds to 40 seconds, and that is almost a lap difference. Tom had to be getting tired after driving all but a few laps. When he did, tremendous job, and I'm sure he'll get his chance here pretty soon. Bozick was tough at the end, Todd Krikke explained. When he passed me, our crew kept waving me on, but I just didn't have any more left in me to give. This is an incredible feeling, Todd continued. This is the race you work for all your career, and when it happens, it takes a while for the reality of winning to set in. This is one of the toughest races we've raced, and as far as the track is concerned, they had a lot of ice, but it was rough when it warmed up. We've been working for this win for a long time, and at last it's here. So that was his first win.
Yeah.
Huh. As the track turned soft with temperatures reaching the mid-30s, many teams switched to longer conventional ski to handle the bumps and berms. After starting with a short Skidoo sprint ski, the team switched to an older sprint ski made by Micro Belmont Engineering. Todd Krikke explained, We've stayed with a sprint ski the whole day. They seemed to cut through the snow better. The nose on the Belmont ski tip was up a little bit, and the sled rode better. The Skidoo skis we started the race with tend to bite a little bit deeper, and if we would have hit the bank, it could have been more than likely stuffed us into it. These Belmont skis worked a lot better. The win earned the team more than $8,000 in prize and lap money, as well as $800 from Polaris. Sponsors including DeJager Construction, Shoemaker Trucking, Flannery Performance, Knoll Gas, Micro Belmont Engineering, Woody's Traction Products, Polaris, and Gale Hardware. For the past years, the Bozic family has come to the Sioux ready for the victory, and each year they have seen it slip away when it looked like nothing could go wrong. Blown chains have plagued the team for the past 3 years. Tom and John qualified back in...
Blown chains the last 3 years?
Mm-hmm. That's what it said.
Jeez.
Tom and John qualified back-to-back in 13th and 14th positions, but John went out with only 23 laps, suffering from a punctured heat exchanger. That'll do it.
That will do it.
Tom took the helm of his own sled and ran like never before. Just maybe the time had come to the Bozics to win the big one. Driving Polaris, Tom drove all but 4 laps when Ivan Hansen helped out briefly in relief, but exhaustion and a little bad luck cut short his run with the checkered. John Wick III of Rogers, Minnesota, who won the Sioux in 1988, figured the rough track would play in his favor, but the lack of speed kept him from catching the leaders, and he finished third, 7 laps back on his Polaris. Troy Pierce set his sled once again on the pole, coming up just short of Dan Kurt's 1985 record of 94.45 miles an hour. Pierce reached a 2-lap average speed of 93.50 miles an hour.
That's fast.
Mm-hmm. But it cut short because 94.
Yeah.
On a Pierce-built Polaris 650. In the past, many pole sitters ran a short race before falling out to collect the $1,000 given to the pole sitter. In 1990, Pierce led the 3 laps before going out with a suspension problem. This year was different, as Pierce led for most of the first 190 laps before going out with a broken bulkhead. Keith Wojciechowski of Greenbush, Minnesota, qualified second and led briefly for 117 laps before going out with a blown chain case. Steve Houle also led in the early going before dropping out with a chain problem. Rick Wazinski and Troy Don, defending champions and winners of the recent Hail Myra, suffered a few minor spills and finished 5th on a Polaris.
I think that was it.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, shorter article on the Sioux.
Yeah, right. That's crazy because they really only talked about Bozics and Krikkes.
Well, if John was 7 laps down, I guess there really wasn't much much else going on, I guess. But pretty cool for Todd to win his first race. But his cousin, Randy Krikke, was the one that was on it at the end to finish it.
Yeah.
Also interesting, too.
Right. You want to read some race wires? Well, no, the race wires. Let's throw out a random name.
I looked through. I couldn't find any local races.
Snow drags, ovals. That's ovals. Ice drags. Where is the Formula One? Dale Loritz won in La Crosse, Wisconsin in 1991.
Nice.
In the Formula One.
Hell yeah, Dale.
That was good. Good job. Wyoming Snowmobile Race Association, Evanston, Wyoming, February 2nd and 3rd, 1991. Improved Stock B, Bill Thorne won that one on a Snowjet.
Nice.
Huh?
There's Marketplace right there.
Oh, what do we want to read here? What do we got? We still got some leaf spring.
There's a lot of Marketplace in this one. And there was, in last week's issue, there was a Marketplace in there. Somebody was selling a blade.
Oh.
It is right behind.
Like a sword?
No, a blade, snowmobile.
Yeah.
Get this. Reynolds 660 Suzuki Triple in an all anodized Wall Bros chassis. Best of everything. Winner many times over. Meticulously maintained, over $15,000 invested, mint condition, must sell, getting out of racing.
How much?
He says over $15,000 invested.
With no price though?
Must sell. Jeez.
Call him.
Crankshaft rebuilding.
Yeah, Northern Crankshaft has an ad in there.
Crankshaft rebuilding for all types of snowmobiles and ATVs. New and rebuilt replacement crankshafts available. Large inventory of new and used crankshaft and engine parts. Fast, dependable service. UPS shippings daily. Northern Crankshafts, Route 3, Box 170, Thief River Falls, Minnesota. 218-964-5528. I bet you it's still the same number.
Oh, look.
No, because they moved buildings, remember?
Oh, yeah.
I just saw a little YouTube video for Northern Crankshaft.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty
What
funny.
was the number?
That popped up
681?
964-5528.
No, wrong number.
Okay.
Don't call that number if you want to get Northern Crankshafts.
What was I just looking at? 550 EXT twin pipes, $399.95. 440 Prowler twin pipes, $399.95. 82 horsepower with porting.
Ooh.
Phaser pipe, 74 horsepower. Exciter 2 pipe, 92 horsepower. Holy crap. Exciter 2's made 92 horse. And the Prowler only made 82 horsepower with porting. Huh? The fastest phaser and exciter pipes guaranteed. Indy 500 mod package.
Guaranteed.
$500. Indy 650 triple pipes, $479. Customized dyno testing. Computerized dyno testing. Oh, that's a dyno port ad. That makes sense. Like whoever this guy is knows his stuff. Oh, there we go. This is what I'm looking for. 1977 Rupp Nitro 440, excellent condition, very fast, 86 horsepower, 1,200 bones. 1990 four-place trailer, tandem axle, splash guard, 1,500 bones. You can get the whole package. Yeah, 20.
That's a package deal?
Nope.
Oh.
But put it together, 2,700
sure.
bones.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Four-place trailer.
Now available, 1992 VMAX 4 T-shirts, white, pink, or black, pink, and hats, pink, white, black. Place your order now. Immediate deliver. Bender Racing.
I seen that one too. I was going to send that to Vince.
I wonder if he's still got any of them shirts. I'll take one. Doesn't have a price, but Makuni 38mm carb kits for $50 set. Wanted to buy 1987. Yamaha Butterfly carb kits, 1982 SRX 500.
We don't need to read this, Kyle.
Pretty funny putting that in Marketplace. They had 3 pages of Marketplace in this thing.
Jeepers. Fox Shocks.
Fox. You think Vince was working there?
They had Bender sled on a dyno here. Huh? No, there's a lot of cool stuff in here.
Yeah.
You'll have to take plenty of pictures.
Yep.
Ford
can't touch this. Only step side on the street. Biggest V6 you can get. 5 on the floor, 350 V8 option. A small block Chevy option.
Small block Chevy.
Man, if you could get a step side with that biggest V6 and a 5-speed on the floor that has it, yeah. Man, that's a deal. Factory aluminum wheels.
1991, Kyle.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's been another Shop Talk Re-readable. Thank you, Kyle, for the snow weeks.
Yeah, which one are we going to do next?
Yeah, which one should we do next? We could go back.
Way back in Guy Useldinger days,
or there's another one up there, the Larry Colton one.
Oh, yeah, we'll read the Larry Colton one.
So we'll go back another 10 years.
Before this.
I think that one's 81, I believe. Oh, you're going to pull the whole thing down. Ooh, boy.
What do we got?
I think it was that one right on top there.
This one?
No, the other one.
This is Guy Useldinger.
Oh, that one.
Otherwise, I do have the Larry Colton one.
Yeah, I thought I looked at it earlier. Yeah, that one. That was 81, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be 81. Yeah. January 12th, 1981. We'll read this one next.
Damn.
That's my favorite story.
So, yeah. 40.
Larry
we'll
Colton
go back.
comes out of retirement just to prove that the 81 LT Gray is the shit.
Huh. Yeah, these have been pretty fun to do. Brody, thanks for your input.
Yep.
Alrighty.
All right. Thanks again. We'll see everybody next week.
See ya.